Central Bank of Nigeria settles all forex backlog as external reserves rise to 34.11 billion naira. Then the Senate extends implementation of 2023 budget till June. While oil rebounds as U.S. crude gasoline stockpiles drops provide some support, and Hong Kong stocks also lead gains in Asia after Fed maintains a rate focus. Nikkei hits a fresh all-time high. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Now let's talk business. I'll start by telling you that the Senate on Wednesday extended the implementation of the capital component of the 2023 budget till June. It also extended the implementation of 2.17 trillion naira 2023 supplementary budget till June. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the Deputy Senate President Barrow Jibrin, who presided over the session, announced the extension of the Appropriation Act during the plenary after the bills seeking the extension were read for the second and third time and supported by a majority of senators.
These extensions are necessary to ensure that the provisions of the acts are exhaustively implemented.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, read the communications at the commencement of plenary, after which the request received expeditious consideration.
The request came from the President today, necessary to get these bills passed. This will give the chance for all those projects, those vital national projects that their implementations have so far started to get completed.
The President also transmitted to the Senate a bill seeking prescription of salaries and other emoluments for judicial officers in tune with economic realities for consideration and passage. Plenary featured the second reading of 3 bills, including the bill that seeks amendments to the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act to include the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in surveillance and prevention of money laundering in Nigeria.
Provide an upper threshold for reporting suspicious transactions and to expand the scope of matters that reporting entities can consider.
Senate has passed the Student Loans Access to Higher Education Act Amendment Bill to ensure seamless implementation.
Now the Central Bank of Nigeria says it has cleared the $7 billion foreign exchange backlog inherited by Governor Yemi Kaduso. This move fulfills a key pledge on his appointments and signifies a significant step towards restoring confidence in the economy. CBN's Acting Director of Corporate Communications, Hakama Ali, confirmed settlement of all valid FX backlog claims, and noting that independent auditors from Deloitte Consulting meticulously assess each transaction, ensuring that only legitimate claims were honored. It noted that all invalid transactions were promptly flagged for further scrutiny by relevant authorities. The Naira rebounded against the United States dollar on Wednesday at the official and parallel markets, with the local currency recording a significant gain against greenback at the black market. This came as the Central Bank of Nigeria announced the final settlement of all valid foreign exchange backlogs. Now let's take a look at how the naira is changing for all the current state. It says there is a need to strengthen ties with African continent, and on the ease of doing business, Nigerians in diaspora can also work together with investors from outside the country. Now to speak on ease of doing business and what Nigeria must do is an investment facilitator. He's Kolawole Kainde. Kolawole, you're welcome to Business
Thank
Express.
you. Good morning, Nigerians, and it's a pleasure to be at the studio today this morning.
Good. There has been a lot of effort towards attracting investment into Nigeria, and just recently, Nigeria hosted the United States Secretary of State in the country, where he encouraged Americans to come and invest in the country. You know, it is popularly said in the investment circle, if you are not in Nigeria, it means you are not yet in Africa. What are your thoughts on this investment moves so far?
Thank you very much, and I will tell you for free that business is not for the faint-hearted, but business is not a suicidal mission. Since the inauguration of the new administration, we've been seeing a lot of crisscrossing by government officials and also the president to selling Nigeria as an investment destination of choice. And what you have actually asked is an aftermath of what those trips have already, panned out. But when you look at the fundamentals, the first question is to look at the issue of regulation. And, government is business, business is government. And government is an enabler of business. So we look at the regulatory environment, how much has been done over the years. And if you look at the statistics on the ease of doing business, as at 2011, Nigeria was number 131 out of 190. That's about 13 years ago. But as at today too, we're still at 131 out of 190. Though in 2015 we rose to about 170 to 190, and that was
moving up 10 positions upwards.
So it shows that in the last 12 years there's really not been much traction, but we've covered lost ground, and I think that is important for Nigerians and Nigerians in diaspora to look at. What it means is that the government and other agencies that are involved in operating and making sure that we have a very conducive environment for doing business are starting and trying to make impact. But, well, the impact is still very much largely to be felt.
Okay, I agree with you. We are not where we should be yet, but you also understand that we are making progress. Some might say we are slow, some might say we are moving at the pace we should. And some have also raised concerns about, yes, we're talking about foreign investors coming into the country. Some will say, what is happening to domestic investment? If domestic investors are comfortable doing business in country, they will have every reason to reach out to partners out there. Yes, we're seeing a lot of government efforts to ensure this regulatory environment is it's made easier for business to thrive. Where is the place of implementation in all of this? What's your assessment to that?
Okay, the first thing you need to look at is the money circulation in the economy. As at today, the Nigerian government is still mopping up cash from the economy. It shows that the level of the number of unbanked people in Nigeria is still high. So it becomes so difficult for us to have an holistic view. But one of the challenges that has happened with domestic investment has been the issue of security and infrastructure. Infrastructure with respect to energy. You and I know that the cost of petrol, diesel are quite high today, and that's really a critical component in doing business in Nigeria. Today, I don't know whether you ate egg today, but the cost of one single egg is now 300 naira. About 2 months ago, it was just 100 naira. So when we have challenges of price regulation, and you know, the government has started have started the issue of having commodity boards and all of that. Those are right steps in the right direction. And I think the major challenge is that the people in government, I'm talking about the people in the civil service, need to double up, increase their regulation, and ensure that they create an atmosphere that helps and enables people already in business to kick off. And you see, of all the interventions, especially I'm an SME person, of all the interventions that the president has decided to show to the SMEs, none of them have seen the light of day, and we're nearing the 12th. We are nearing about close to.
Did you say that none of it have seen the light of day?
You
also have to realize that I'm not making excuses for some other people, but from what I've observed, from what I've seen on the field, is that Nigeria has a population of over 200 million, and about 40% to 45% of this population is in the MSMEs. You are into MSMEs. A lot of these interventions go out. Yes, there has been a little bit of side tracking. There's a little bit of, okay, we are not, this thing is not reaching us. We also get to realize that our population is much compared to these interventions that are being rolled out. Just about last week, the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in collaboration with, well, I say the federal government now, using the Bank of Industries to disburse about 200 billion naira to MSMEs. You might say that's a huge amount of money, but if you look at the beneficiaries going to go to, you might say the number, you still need more and all of that. Now, if you are to advise from experience how those monies should be disbursed and to whom it should go to, talking about beneficiaries, what would be your advice at this time?
Okay, thank you. There are three components to that 200 billion that you mentioned. There is a 50 billion, there is a 75 billion, and there's another 75 billion. The 50 billion goes to probably the nano businesses, the small businesses that are around, and they're around the 774 local governments, and what goes to them is just 50,000 naira. Now, for the other 75 billion that goes to Agric, the highest obligo, that means the highest fund that each obligo can get is about 3 million. Then the one that goes to the manufacturing, which is really very good, is about 1 billion. Now, if you look at this funds, 200 billion, that was the same thing President
Muhammadu Buhari.
Not Muhammadu Buhari, even Jonathan did about 200 billion. That's about 10 years ago. So we're thinking about 1 trillion naira intervention in the SME, because the figures are there. The MSMEs make up to 48% of the GDP. They employ about 90% of the entire labor workforce. So I think the government needs to put more priorities in agriculture, which they already are doing. If you look at the gift that CBN gave to the Ministry of Agric, the 100 billion naira worth of fertilizer and all of that, those are right moves in the right direction, but we need speed. And of course, when we need speed, we also need accuracy and transparency in the distribution and, of course, in the implementation of the plans of the government. We cannot take it away that the government is doing its bit, but the government needs to do more. And one of the ways they can do that is to look at how they can provide energy. And as of today, this morning, we still heard about the Minister of Power still talking about removing the energy subsidy. And I was listening to the radio, someone said once they do that, they just say goodbye to manufacturing, which is true. The cost of energy is critical, and it translates to every sphere of our economy. And you ask me why? Because we don't have alternative source of power, and we are a monolithic economy. Until we really work on diversification, then we have issues with challenges with energy, with infrastructure, with regulation, policy, and also security. Security is a major challenge in Nigeria. And I tell you for free, without if the interventions that the government is doing in security does not take traction, we might have food shortage and food challenges. We know that there are some people ordering food, commodities and all of that, but a large number of farmers have left the farm and they've started riding Okada, they have started riding Keke Napep, and they're not adding so much into the economy as they should. I think the government, when I talk about the government now, I'm talking about the state government, need to look at Land Act. There's such more challenges with getting land to farm, not to talk of even to build houses. Government must know how to make sure that that is done. And I like the kind of partnership with Niger State and Lagos State, and these are the kind of partnerships we want to see and hear more in the economy, so that there will be food. Once there is food in Nigeria.
Talking about, let me hold your thoughts. Talking about partnerships, yes, as the subnationals should get to do more. We're also seeing a private sector involvement in all of this, because we've all agreed that government cannot do this all alone. And we just saw the United States government expressing commitment to supporting developing countries, particularly like the Nigerian economy, talking about trade, talking about production. Now, yes, policy is key. Then aside policy, we're talking about actions. What other ways should we be looking out for to support government efforts at this particular point in time, following scarce resources and the inflationary figures we get to see now and then?
Okay, I think one of the things that we've suffered from in the last 2-3 years is diaspora funding. Diaspora funding is critical because this fund comes from outside the economy. And of course, these funds also come at low cost, because about 2 years ago, we have about $22 billion come as diaspora funding, low cost, sending money to my parents, sending money to my siblings, buying properties and all of that. So these funds are critical. We must learn how to crystallize those funds into and to make it work, not like just for consumption. We should make it work for production. Of course, for businesses, the businesses are doing their bit. Government must continue to churn out policies and regulations. You can see the ease of paying taxes now. It wasn't like this about 5 years ago. And, you know, they're making things work in terms of construction permits. You see that it's getting better. But in terms of property rights, in terms of resolving insolvency and all other things like that, government must look at how to manage these challenges so that we don't have apathy for foreign direct investment. And for businesses that are within the Nigerian space, we need to make sure that we protect them from external businesses, and we must also leverage our competitive and comparative advantage.
Okay, before I let you go, I understand, most oftentimes we hear from SMEs, from that, from your sector, we hear finance is a challenge, finance is a challenge. Where is the place of capacity? Where is the place of employing technology to maximize production?
Okay, you know, in SME business, aside finance, getting attracting and retaining top talent is very difficult, because one, SMEs don't have the funding to really attract top talents. Then in terms of training and development, we don't pay so much attention on that. And of course, government is still the largest training platform for even consultants and all of that. So businesses, local businesses must look for how to train on the job, on the go, on demand, and they must be creative about the training opportunities that they have. Technology is here to stay. I think it's important for SMEs and almost every business to leverage technology and make the best out of it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kolawole Kehinde, for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you once again.
Good. Moving on, gold climbed over 1% after the U.S. Federal Reserve indicated they expect to reduce interest rates by 0.75 percentage point by end of 2024, sending the dollar and treasury yields lower. Let's now Oil prices climbed rebound on Thursday after falling to previous sessions as the U.S. crude and gasoline inventory declined, supported the market after signs that the U.S. Federal Reserve may keep rates higher for longer, crimped outlook for future fuel demand. Brent crude oil futures contract for May settlement rose 0.6% at $86.47 a barrel after falling 1.6% on Wednesday. U.S. West Texas Intermediate futures for May delivery rose 0.5% to $81.72 a barrel after falling 1.6% in the previous session. The April contract expired on Wednesday, down 2.1% at $81.68. And just before we bring you details of transactions as market opens today, as of yesterday, investors lost 167.65 billion naira as the all share index declined by 0.28% to close at 104,256.81 basis points. Market capitalization also recorded a loss of 167.65 billion naira. The total volume traded declined by 2.73% to close at 298.65 million naira, valued at 6.84 billion naira and traded in 8,248 deals. FBN Holdings was the most traded stock by volume and value with 38.76 million and 1.56 trillion units traded. At this point, we'll take a trip to the global market where NECA is standing by. How is the market looking like out there?
Well, Japanese stocks closed at fresh all-time highs on Thursday as Asian markets climbed after the Federal Reserve maintained its forecast for 3 rate cuts this year. The Nikkei 225 closed 2.03% higher at 40,815.66. The Shanghai Composite also managed to rise by 0.06%, while the Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong is climbing 2.13%. Stock futures climbed early Thursday morning in the U.S. after the 3 major averages closed at new records the previous session. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average added 401 points. S&P 500 gained 0.89%, and the Nasdaq Composite is up by 1.25%. European markets, on the other hand, are heading for a positive open. The UK FTSE 100 index is expected to open 56 points higher at 7,788. Germany's DAX up 176 points, and France's CAC 40 70 points lower. Now in Africa, Namibia's overall index is currently leading in this Thursday morning's trade after the market opened in positive territory. The benchmark index is up by 0.8%, closely followed by South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40, which is 0.77% up. And that's global market update for this morning. It's back to Benny.
Thank you, Neka, for that update. And this is where we end today's edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube, on NTA's channel, and other social media platforms. Business Express returns tomorrow, Friday at 3 p.m.